Gervonta Davis, he does it, a post and delete. He's teasing and previewing an upcoming fight with Lamont Roach. And I want to talk about it because I feel I'm the voice of reason in this boxing game. My name is Ego. I've been doing this so long, over 10 years, the best in the business, and it's not even close. And if you guys notice on the channel, you'll see some changes. I've been doing some housekeeping to keep you guys entertained, some different looks, check out the ambiance, the feng shui. You'll also see people in this industry, in this niche, start to copy because Boxing Ego is a trendsetter in the sport of boxing. So when you see the changes on the channel, just look for others to copy exactly what we doing over here because we the wave. Now, when I tell you about Gervonta Davis, you got to believe me. But first, before I want to go into the post, boom, we got action. So he did a post and delete. This was previously on Tank's social media. It says PBC pay-per-view, and it's a flyer in the same style that PBC has been doing. Tank versus Roach live at the Toyota Center, Saturday, December 14th, right? On Amazon Prime Video. Now, I am looking forward to the fight, and I will explain why. For starters, Tank is money. I have never witnessed a Tank fight where I was about to fall asleep. And I think that's one of the problems here. Have you noticed a pattern that a lot of Tank's haters, people who make content, boxing fans, so be it, right? They seem to like guys like Devin Haney, the Haneyx. They seem to like guys like Shakur Stevenson, but I'm just being honest. I respect the different styles in boxing. But if you somehow like Devin Haney's fights or you like Shakur's fights, there's no way as a boxing purist or just a fan of the sport, you can't be all in on Gervonta Davis because his fights are just far more exciting, right? And that's it. Some people, they got that. Tank got that ooh-wop. When Tank fights, people not only are talking about it just because of who he is, the culture pops out. You see celebrities, you see sports athletes, top level. And I'm not talking about like D-list celebrities like Scott Baio or something. We're talking about people who are making mega millions currently in sports, like Oakland Raiders, well, actually Las Vegas Raiders and Lakers and top musicians. I mean, he had Madonna at his fight. He had Drake and Birdman. Y'all better not come to the studio with no fake ish. Bro, how many times has Drake popped out not doing a favor for somebody, but he just really popped out at a boxing event? Listen, I met the late, great Mutombo, who just recently passed, and it was a privilege in Atlanta. I got footage with Mutombo just from being at a Tanks fight, and that was with Gamboa. And it might be time for me to pop out and cover another Tank fight because I'm telling you, this should be a movie. In Atlanta, I seen Danny Jacobs, Jay Leon Love, Clarissa Shields. I got footage and talked to Shaquille O'Neal, Mutombo. I seen Steven Jackson. I mean, the list goes on and on. And this was like, I want to say 2019-ish. This is like right before the pandemic, right? Tank, since that point, has bubbled even more. And he's had consistent performances, consistent knockouts. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Lamont Roach just based on that. But outside of that, Tank just being a great fighter. Lamont Roach, I've watched him several times. He used to be with Golden Boy Promotions. See, and it's funny, when he had a Mexican promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, I do believe, and he was on the roster, nobody was bad talking him. Nobody was like saying he sucks and all this type of stuff when he was on Golden Boy. Since Golden Boy, he's actually had some, if you watch boxing, he's had some good wins. Like he had a kind of a comeback fight recently right? Before that, he beat the guy that Tank beat, Hector Luis Garcia. Lamont Roach can fight. And I just find it ironic that people hate on Tank so much in this industry, but they continue to talk about him. Like, almost as if the world revolves around Tank. Why are you so concerned with Tank? If you're a Devin Haney-ac, or Shakur Stevenson, or whoever you like, talk about them. How come people make more videos and content about Tank, but seemingly don't like him? Weird. It's weird. And I'm really blaming the fans, because if you support this behavior, Tank is the face of boxing alongside with Canelo. And here's the thing. Canelo, I take nothing away from him. He's been fighting as a pro since age 15. But he's at kind of like the closing chapters. So Tank is the youngest in charge, right? Tank is younger than Canelo Alvarez. So I'm looking forward to this. The other thing is, people want to play stupid to Boxing Ego as if, I got to say, like, clueless. As if we don't know the pedigree and the story. We know for a fact that Lomachenko and others had opportunities where they could have fought Tank Davis. It wouldn't have been on your terms because he's the A side, but you certainly could have fought him. So you need to start blaming those people for the bigger fights not happening, or their teams, or whatever. People are acting like this Tank Davis fight is ruining boxing and all that goofy stuff. And then the same people put Naoya Inoue, who I like, he could fight, but he's fighting at 2 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning, and they put Naoya Inoue in the top 2 spots, pound for pound, number 1 or 2, right? And there's no bother with whoever he fights. Naoya Inoue can fight a janitor. He can fight Paul Butler. He can fight TJ Doohickey and all these guys, and nobody bats an eyelash. And he's fighting at like 4 a.m. my time in America, and nobody seems to care. But when it's a ninja like Tank Davis, everybody seems to care, right? How many times in boxing recently have other fighters? The world doesn't revolve around Tank. There's other fighters, and there's zero pressure, right? I look at some of these Eddie Hearn cards overseas, not like Joshua Dubois. That was a good fight. We call a good fight, but I'm talking about some of these other ones, right? Not Sandy Ryan versus Michaela Mayer. These are good fights and meaningful fights. But some of the other ones where you see a flyer and you don't know nobody on the flyer, and you watch boxing religiously. But the Tank haters, they don't ever talk about those fights. They don't talk about nobody else. It's just Tank, right? And that's the reality of it. So I'm glad, and I'm going to keep supporting what Tank is doing, because it's funny. It's funny to see. I've always been a big fan of underdog. Tank is moving, and he's moving in the right way, and it's just pissing people off. I love it. I think he has a great team, and it's funny because people say stuff like, oh, why did he put a rehydration clause on Ryan? Ryan is younger than Tank. If you can't make weight, you're in the wrong weight class. He's a career lightweight. He was eating tacos at the media day, said he felt great. His dad said the rehydration. It was only when Tank stopped him and dropped him that all of a sudden he couldn't make weight no more. But leading up to the fight, they said he felt great, looked great. We're not doing that. Ryan's a good fighter, but that given night, he couldn't see Tank. Point blank, period. And again, I'm blaming you, the fans. We got to get boxing back to its rightful place. If you're just supporting clownish behavior and goofy stuff, it is what it is. But I'm blaming you. You getting the blame. And I don't care if you like me. I don't care if you watch my videos, because I really don't want you. Because I don't deal with fakeness on any level. I don't surround myself with people, snakes and fakes and phonies, right? Like, for example, Jaron Ennis signs to Matchroom. Your boy Ego had questions about that relationship. Not that Matchroom is not a good fit for other people. Specifically with Jaron Boots Ennis, I was like, who's he going to fight? Conor Benn? Who else? And he's not even fighting Conor Benn with Eddie Hearn and Rematch Room. right? So this is why I had questions about him leaving the place he was, Showtime. Okay, they went out of business, but you still could have probably signed with PBC when you became free, right? You could have signed there, could have stuck with Steven Espinoza, and I think they had more options for you, right? Nope. He takes the money route and, get overpaid. But then look who he's fighting. The Cody Crowley fight fell apart. They replaced it with a guy Terrence Crawford knocked out violently, David Avocado. Jaron Ennis beats him. Now he's back in Philly fighting who? Another fight that people don't want, Karen Chukadasian. And notice the same Tank haters, they don't care about that. They don't say nothing about Eddie Hearn and why is he making a Karen fight? Why not Conor Benn in boots? Why not Virgil Ortiz Jr. in boots? Why not Madrimov in boots? Take a risk. People keep saying, Tank, take a risk. Like, here's the thing. Let's be real. We'll stick to Jaron Ennis. People saying, oh, Tank, he should move up and challenge himself. Take a risk, move to 140. Jaron Ennis is huge at welterweight. The better fights for him are Crawford at 54, Virgil Ortiz at 54, whoever, Fundora. But I'm just talking about more so the DAZN fights, right? Madrimov, Crawford, right? Virgil Ortiz. These are all DAZN fights that they could make. But he don't have to move up. And he's a large welterweight. Tank Davis is one of the very few people in boxing where they're fighting in their actual apt weight class. You look at every opponent Tank fights outside of maybe Pitbull Cruz, and the opponent is bigger than Tank Davis, right? He's an actual lightweight, and he's making his weight, blah, blah, blah. Lamont Roach has had some fights at 135, but you too stupid to know that. And he's bigger than Tank, and he's experienced with Tank. So they had amateur fights, at least 2 of them in the amateurs. So I think it's a good fight, all things considered. Now, of course, not the biggest name, but he just fought Frank Martin, a known about guy. And back to Jaron Ennis and Eddie Hearn. When Jaron Ennis signs to Eddie Hearn, I question who Eddie can match him with that makes him into a star right here in America. And they said, don't worry about that. Jaron is going to be active. Tank just fought Frank Martin. No, I think it was like June. This summer, he fought him. So him fighting Lamont Roach, a champion in the lighter division, moving up like Hector Luis Garcia, does that not keep him active? But the same people are crying about it. Content creators like, why did he fight Teofimo? I made a video about it. Teofimo is in litigation with Top Rank. How is he going to fight a guy who's trying to get out of his contract, basically, from my understanding? Please tell me. Oh, but why doesn't Tank fight Shakur Stevenson? You mean the guy who's injured, who had to pull out of a Joe Cordina fight, a guy who's also in a lighter weight class, but he was coming off a knockout loss? So, again, the Tank haters, they mad that he's fighting someone from a lighter weight class, but he's fighting a champion that knows him from the amateurs from a lighter weight class that's actually bigger than him. But Shakur was getting ready to fight Joe Cordina, coming off a loss from a lighter weight class, and then pulls out of the thing on account of his hand. You see how this works? And then people are still talking about why won't Tank fight Shakur Stevenson? Either you're playing dumb, or you're not listening, or you struggle with comprehension. How can he fight these people? Tio's in litigation with Top Rank. Shakur's on the sideline and says he has his next fight. William Zepeda is fighting Tevin Farmer. Do you fools watch boxing, or do you just skim through it? I'm really trying to understand this. So all the people that are trying to put up obstacles and roadblocks and make this fight with Tank and Lamont Roach sound terrible, answer some of the questions that I presented. Zepeda booked. Teofimo unavailable per lawsuit. Shakur injured. Lomachenko said no. We running out of options right then and there. And then, again, I've already addressed it. People like trying to force Tank to fight as the A side. So the A side got to move to 140. But then they don't tell Canelo to move up to 75 again to fight Better Biev. Why give Better Biev the advantage? You know what I'm saying? And Canelo got 2 fights there. Tank got 1 fight at 140. Stop playing with me. Best in the business. Best in the world. And it's not even close.